Hello and welcome back to the Cars Ireland YouTube channel. This week we reviewed the Audi A1 Citycarver, a mildly beefed up version of the A1, and handily there's a few little tips and tricks to tell them apart, which we will go through now. Now before we get into it, this colour combo did remind me of something, but I really just can't place it. So it sits 5 centimeters higher, you get some black cladding around the wheels and side skirts. And these fake vents are also a bit chunkier, but most handily of all, it says Citycarver here. Now the boot is pretty decent at 335 litres with the seats up. You can also fold them flat, and they do fold flat, and get 190 litres of space. So despite this being quite a small car, there's actually a decent amount of boot space and it's quite usable too. Now today all A1s are only 5-door, so that obviously helps practicality, and space back here is sufficient. God, I hate that word, sufficient, but that's what it is. Legroom is tight for me behind myself at 6 foot. It's okay, but tight, and headroom is pretty decent. I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable. The seats are actually nice and spongy, and I think I'd be happy enough for a few hours back here without any real upset. In terms of entertainment, well, you don't get any, there's no USBs. So if you want to entertain yourself, electric windows might be it. So the first thing you notice when you sit in the A1 Citycarver is that everything is really pointed towards the driver. You really feel a sense that you are in control. You also have Audi's virtual cockpit up in front of you, which is excellent, and the display is just high def and one of the best out there. Now I must admit there were two surprises when I got in first. First thing you notice is you get a traditional key that you pop in an ignition and turn. Would you believe that? Nowadays, huh? And there's a traditional handbrake too, which I'm actually much more of a fan of than the electric stuff. When it comes to infotainment, you're well looked after too. There's an 8.8-inch screen, there's a USB and a USB-C in front. This one is also fitted with wireless phone charging. Plus available to you is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay integrated into the infotainment system, which is actually the handiest way to use all of that stuff. Now the A1 Citycarver is aimed at young trendy people, so there are options to lift the interior with different colour accents around the dash and around the gear stick down here. I would pick that option just to lift a bit, because this one is quite dull in a silver and grey seat combo. There are kind of mad oranges and stuff that really lift this interior to match the exterior. Also there's an option for some ambient lighting packaging with 30 different colours available to you. We don't have it today, but I'd say that is quite nice and lifts it as well. The build quality is immense. Everything that you touch feels really well built, and it actually feels a class above what the A1 would be considered. The only bad spot I would say is the top of the door card. It's a bit knocky and scratchy. The pricing is maybe where it starts to fall apart. The A1 Citycarver starts at around €29,000, and this particular model is 34,000 with all the options. So that is quite a lot of money for what is a small car. You're well looked after in practicality stakes as well. You have decent door bins that will fit large water bottles because you're trendy, and you can fit your Coke down in, there's 3 cup holders here. The one in the middle is teeny. I'm guessing that's like a cappuccino type thing. I'm not sure, I don't drink coffee. And you've some small storage in the armrest and glove box. Plus I'm actually a big fan of the design in front of the passenger here, where the air vents just run across and it keeps it looking slick and funky. So behind the wheel of the Citycarver, and the first thing I want to point out is the steering wheel, because you hold that a lot. This one is round, it's covered in leather, and it's thin, and it's just perfect. Mwah. So at the minute there is only one engine option in the Citycarver lineup, a 1 litre turbocharged petrol. It's good for 116 horsepower and 200 newton meters of torque, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is dealt with in 9.9 seconds. So all decent figures from what is a tiny little engine. Now the engine is a little cracker. To think back in the day, a 1 litre would only get you like 40, 50 horsepower max. This is knocking out 116. So very impressive, very refined, and the mid-range torque gets you out of lots of trouble, and to be honest I don't think you'd really need a whole lot more. So moving on from my old man ramblings, as I was saying, impressive engine, and you will get kind of 6 litres per 100 kilometers. That's what we got in our week, and I actually think you could probably lower that if the driving suits it a bit more. We've done a lot of motorway this week. which that's not to say it's actually bad on the motorway. It's surprisingly refined. That engine sits quietly. Road noise is well subdued thanks to those meaty tyres, and wind noise is actually not bad. It's not intrusive and it won't upset your day at all. Mid-range torque is where it does impress, so if you're going from 80 to 100 kilometers or 80 to 120, it's actually quite effortless, and so much from such a tiny little engine. I will repeat myself once again, this engine is fantastic. Now there is an option on the Citycarver for drive select modes. There's 4 options to choose from, which obviously changes steering weight and engine response. I will say the dynamic mode does weight up the steering and give the engine a bit more pep in its step, and it's kind of fun to just throw around a few corners, and just all well within legal limits too, I might add, because you know it's not going to be taken off like a mad joke. Handling is impressive too. You don't get a huge amount of feel through the steering wheel, but it's light, it's nimble, it's on its toes, and around town it excels. It's very handily, carved in around city streets. Imagine that, it's like it's in the name. As I mentioned, you get the 2 gearbox options. I'd probably just go for the 6-speed manual. We've had the 7-speed S-Tronic this week, and while it's nice and lazy and comfortable, I don't know if it's worth the extra money, and it's actually kind of jumpy around town. It sort of kangaroos around the place ever so slightly, and that can irk a bit. So just get the manual and do the work yourself. Although, if you have bad knees, maybe the S-Tronic's not a bad option. Good advice. If you would like to search for any form of A1 on CarsIreland.ie, please do click on the link above. So if we consider the Citycarver inside a vacuum, it's quite an interesting prospect. It's funky, it's good to drive, it's economical, and the levels of refinement for a small car are impressive. But of course we don't live inside a vacuum, and when the standard A1 costs from €25,000, it's kind of hard to justify this over that. So unless you love the looks of the Citycarver over the standard A1, I don't really see the justification. Plus they look basically the exact same. Please do like and subscribe, and join us next week for another car review. Thank you. Bye.